with that stuff, all right, what he was dealing with during the war and back in the Vietnam era. And I was around that guy. I was young, but I remember because I came to our house and he was going to take my brother to jail because he refused to sign up for the draft. I remember that very well. All right. Let's see. All right. He said he did not know. He did not know that Vietnam had been a war over thousands of years. France and the United States were last in a long line of imperialist countries trying to conquer Vietnam. Always trying to take over somebody else's property. That's that. We ain't gonna get down there. That's something different. We'll deal with that later. I did not know that the war I was fighting was their 1,000-year war of independence, as the Revolutionary War was America's fight for independence from England. All we were told was that we were the good guys and the communists were bad guys. I did not know what a communist was. All I knew was that they wore white hats and they wore black pajamas. We believed in God and communists did not. I did not know we were fighting for oil and control over the resources of Vietnam, all right, and the rest of the Southeast Asia. Sadly, I see the same thing going on in Iraq and in Afghanistan today. Also, I had no idea how to design, build, or repair a helicopter. I was not educated in metallurgy, design, electronics, fuels, or what. He wasn't trained in that stuff. I had no idea how to fix my helicopter. All I was trained to do was fly. That's all he knew. There it is. Shoot and follow orders. Press the right button and people died. Press the wrong button and they died. By the end of the war, I was very well trained pilot, but not well educated. And that is so true with many of us today. We have training in certain things, but we really don't truly have the education because we are told we have to do it a certain way. All right? You can go to a company and get hired. They may train you, but do you really have the education behind all this stuff? You really don't. Because you only going by what they tell you to do. Right or wrong? Huh? Right or wrong? All right. All right. So let's go on. I hope that you're enjoying this and get some of that, because we have to lay the foundation. We're dealing with financial literacy. He has already told us, Robert Kiyosaki has already told us that you're going to have training along with education. If you don't, when it comes to finances, you're going to lose every single time. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. You may be trained to do it, right? You may be trained to do something, but if you don't have the education behind it and where it came from, then you're going to have an issue. All right? All right, let's continue. Potty training. How many remember those days when those that got kids about potty training? I remember my grandson when he was very young. He had to go to that stage as well. All right, there's a purpose for that. So they don't go when they feel that they have to go to the bathroom. They get up and go to the bathroom. They don't have to take nobody to the bathroom with them, right or wrong. All right. In the real world, people potty train their children. They do not toilet educate their children, which they don't. They just train them. There's a difference. Training, education. People train their dogs. They do not educate their dogs. The term Pavlov dog has come to signify the difference between education and training. In simple terms, ringing bell Pavlov's dog salivated and got hungry even if there was not any food around. For those that's not familiar with the term Pavlov dog, the term is derived from the famed Russian psychologist and Nobel Lawrence I.V. Pavlov. All right? He was recognized for his research of the digestive system of dogs. I want you to listen very carefully. He is credited with the term unconditional flex. Pavlov dog is used to describe someone who merely reacts to a situation automatically. Instead of using critical thinking, modern advertising uses conditional flex extensively. Those of you from my generation that was born in the 60s and 70s recall the Winston cigarettes had a tagline that went, "Winston tastes good." I remember it very well. Do you remember the Winston Salems? The Winston cigarettes. All right. Pall Malls. All right. They're out there. All right. The Camels. All right. All right. Like a cigarette should, or how do you spell relief? And you remember the old commercial, ROLAIDS, Rolaids? Remember that? Advertisers in this world, or in this country, really in the Western country, which we're living here in the United States, they try to entice you with things that you really don't really need. But why is that? Because they're trying to get into your pocketbook to see what you're buying, why you're buying it, and that's none of their business. Okay? None of their business. But they try to entice you to buy more because that's how they're gonna keep their shareholders happy. So let's move on. All right. Advertisers train us to like Pavlov's trained dogs. Today, Aflac uses a duck to keep them on our mind. That's right. Geico uses a green gecko to keep them on our minds. That's right. Every time you turn on TV, there's something out there to persuade us, to seduce us, right? The financial services industry does the same thing. People work hard for their money and without thinking, turn their money over to banks and pension funds. In many schools administrators are proud to say they have financial education in their school. In reality, it is framing. It is financial training and not financial education. Just as Pavlov trained his dogs to salivate, even if they are not to salivate food, millions of highly educated people are trained rather than educated when it comes to the subject. That's so true. I'll read that again. As Justice Pavlov trained his dogs to salivate, even if there was nothing to salivate about, millions of highly all right. I thought someone was flying around. Excuse me there for a minute. All right. The salivate abroad, millions of highly educated people are trained. That's true. You go to school, you get trained. All right. But you got to have the education as well. All right. Rather than educating when it comes to the subject of money, for example, we'll give you a test to see if you can fill in the blanks. Go to school, get good grades, and get a what? You should know that. A job. Remember we talked about this last week? Next statement. Work what? Work blank. Work hard. Work hard. Save what? Money. Next one. Buy a house because your house is a what? An investment. Not buy. If you don't pay for a gas, there's a liability. All right. Cut up your credit cards. Get out of what? Debt. All right. Let's see. Live below your means. Live below your means. If you check right now, live below your means. All right. Let's continue on. Let's see. Cut up your credit cards. Get out of debt. Live below your means. Invest for the what? The future, the long term, in a well-organized portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Praise be to God. And see, I'm learning that now about the stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, or index funds. Either way you want to go. Many educated people think that this is financial education. On television, it's common to see so-called financial experts saying, go to school, get a job, save money. Cut up your credit cards and get out of debt. Your house is an asset. Live below your means. Invest for long-term in a well-diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. This is not financial education. This is financial training. You guys see the mail rock. All right, let's move on. Cut up your credit cards and get out of debt. Your house is an asset. Live below your means. Invest for long-term in well-diversified portfolios of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. This is not financial education. This is financial training. The same training that Pavlov used on his dog and that advertisers use to sell cigarettes, anti-assets, and insurance. All right? All right. In 2007, financial crisis hit, many of those who followed this financial training believed that they were financially educated and lost everything: jobs, homes, retirement, and savings. All right. Many marriages broke apart to make sure. Wow. Okay. To make matters worse, schools getting on the financial education bandwagon continue to bring in bankers to promote the wisdom of saving money. In the name of financial education, Schools also bring in financial planners who train young minds to believe that investing for long term is a well-devised portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds is a smart thing to do. And that's so very, very, very true. I wish I would have had this type of training when I was younger, because I think I would have been much more further ahead. But so be it may. You know, I had to wait, lost 30 years to really start looking at this stuff and seeing how it can affect my life and affect the lives of my family members. And it's me as a man, quote unquote, adult male, is to make sure that they're provided for and taken care of. All right, you know. All right, let's continue on. Let's continue on. We were just praying to the Holy Ghost there. Let's continue on. All right. Mindlessly sending your money to complete strangers is not the end result of good financial education. It is the end result of dog training. All right. I am certain these educators are well-intended people, but their conditional reflexes bind them to the fact that the bankers and financial planners they invite into their schools work for the very organizations that caused and profited from the financial crisis. That is so true. Corporations such as Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, and Lehman Brothers, they're all gone. All right, using your money to profit off you because you don't have the right training along with the education to understand this. And if you're not exposed to this, then you will get taken advantage of and you will lose your money. All right? All right. What now? Let's go to the second phase. And we're going to deal with this, then we're going to close it out on this. We're going to deal with what is financial literacy. What is financial literacy? There are 4 foundations of financial literacy, and we're going to deal with each 4 of those. And what we'll do after we deal with those 4, then on next week, we're going to deal with increasing your financial IQ. All right. Next week, we're going to deal with financial IQ. We'll see how the Lord moves on this segment of our lesson here. All right. A friend. Now we're going back to Kawasaki again. Let's see what we got here. All right. Number 1, the difference between an asset and a liability. Asset and liability. You remember we talked about this before. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is something that takes some money out of your pocket. All right. So you have to really, really learn this, because if you don't, you're really going to be lost, because assets and liabilities are 2 different things. But the important part of it is, asset is going to keep money in your pocket. Liability is going to take money out of your pocket. And that's generally speaking, a lot of people think they have assets, but in actuality, they have a lot of liabilities, because if they got the liability, they got to spend money to keep it, or they got to spend money to continue to pay for this item. That's a liability. All right? Let's go into this a little bit. Many people think they know what an asset is. For instance, you probably think that your house is an asset, right? Some of you do. But it's not true. It's not. The truth is this, that just as there are 2 definitions of an assets, accountants use one definition that requires lots of financial calisthenics to make people and companies feel richer than they really are. This keeps them employed and their clients blissfully ignorant. All right? They try to make money off you. Now, with us living in the technology age, there's no reason why you should be ignorant. There's no reason. Because you go on your computer and type anything you want in there and learn and read it. Now, you don't have to always jump at everything you see when you read something. Also, when you do that, go and verify it with somebody else that's down the road. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And get their feedback. And that's what I've been doing. Because I'm going to open up another a brokerage account. Already have an IRA, a Roth IRA account, but I'm going to open another one where I can put more money into to continue to grow some assets. All right, and you can do this. All right. All right. The rich use another definition grounded in simplicity and reality. An asset is anything, what I just say, that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. Until you understand that concept, you will never, ever achieve financial freedom. Credit cards, they're a liability if you cannot pay that bill at the end of the month. It's a liability because you're going to pay the interest rate, all right? And then not only are you going to pay the interest rate on that product, and if you only paying the minimum amount, you sometimes paying double, triple for what the actual product that you bought is really, really worth. All right? What it's really, really worth. So you got to wrap your mind around assets and liabilities. Assets and liabilities. All right? Let's go on. Your house is not an asset because it takes money out of your pocket each month, right or wrong. You got to pay your mortgage. All right? You got to pay your taxes. Now, I know you don't have to pay taxes all the time. You pay your taxes once a year. But each month, you got to pay that mortgage note. Right or wrong, you got to pay the mortgage. It has to be paid. Or they will the bank will foreclose on you and take the house. All right? Even if you own your house outright, you still have to pay for the taxes. That's still money coming out of your pocket, as well as maintenance and that's more money out of your pocket. Things are going to happen to the house. It's going to happen. Anything that's man-made that has been taken out of its natural state and turned into something else is going to fail eventually, and it's going to have to be repaired. That's money coming out of your pocket. That creates a liability. Now, it can be an asset. It can be an asset to you, but you got to make sure if that mortgage ain't paid, you create more. Now, you're gonna have the breakdowns. You're gonna have the maintenance problems. That's all nature of it. That's part of it, and you got to deal with that. All right, for having a house. But you're gonna have to pay the tax as well. So everybody's gonna get a share of that, and that's money coming out of your pocket. All right. All right. But if you own rental property, that's the key. If you own rental property, that can be an asset. If it puts money in your pocket each month in form of cash flow, when your tenant pays rent, they cover your mortgage, maintenance, taxes, and more. They're covering that because the money that they're paying now, if you have bought the property, all right, now, if you have bought that property and it's paid for and then you renting it out, and then whatever the mortgage may be, whatever the whatever you charge, say $1,000 a month, you building in money into that monthly payment for your taxes, for the maintenance of the house, anything happen, they paying you each month. All right, to make sure that property stays up, and that's what you call an asset, because now it's generating cash flow into your pocket, which we call what? An asset. Praise be to God. I hope you got that. That's good stuff there. All right. All right. Let me say this. I want to go back to this in the beginning because I think that this is very, very important about financial literacy. Is that a young boy excelled at math. I want to give you this example here. I want you to listen to this because it really comes back to what we're talking about, assets and liabilities, and talk about financial literacy. I talk about financial education and little that we know and why we're in the situation that we're in. A young boy excelled at math and art, but he struggled with reading. From him, reading was a chore. It was hard work with little payoff. All right? He was diligent in making sure that this young boy's son read each and every night, because given the chance, his son would have been all playing, doing something else instead of learning, right or wrong. The problem wasn't that the boy didn't like reading. He loved to have his dad read for him all the time. All right? The problem was that the learning to read was hard, and it was easy to let others do it for him. Over the summer, however, it finally clicked. Now, my friend, the son won't stop reading. He keeps asking to go to the library. He spends hours on the couch reading books. He loves reading. Why now? Because he was trained to do something, but now he's getting the education that can go along with training. All right, that's the key. All right, like most kids his age, it's hard moving from illiterate to literate. It's hard because once you got to understand something. If you have not been taught something, you illiterate to that. Or Paul would say you're ignorant to the fact because you don't know. But once you have been switched from the illiterate to the literate, it opens up a whole brand new world to you. Right or wrong? All right? Same thing with this principle about assets and liability, about financial literacy, about financial education. If you never heard this stuff before, because you have been trained in certain things, but you have